Okay, and how do people get referred to the San Andreas Regional Center?
People are referred a variety of different ways to the regional center. Sometimes your doctor will refer you. If you're born premature, usually the neonatal intensive care unit will refer you. If you're below 3, it's usually your doctor. If you're over 3, the school district can also refer you. Sometimes it's a family friend. Sometimes you might meet a service coordinator on the street and they talk to you and they say you might be eligible for this service. So it's a variety of referral services. Anybody can call the regional center and talk to somebody about their child or family member with a disability, and they can review what the possible qualifying eligibility is. We always recommend that you send as much information like an IEP or medical records first, and then once that initial referral is made, then the process, usually within 15 days, a meeting is scheduled, and you bring all your information, and we meet the consumer, and you're seen by a psychologist if needed, and an assessment is completed with an intake counselor, and then there's a big meeting with the whole intake team, which includes a medical doctor, a psychologist, the intake person, and they all discuss eligibility, and if you're made eligible, you are offered services. And then an IPP, which means an individual program plan, is created to direct the services, the support services you need to have a good quality of life.
So, like, specifically, what are the support services that you guys provide?
So the support services vary depending on your age. So if you're an early start client, which is from 0 to 3, and qualifying for early start is a little bit different than qualifying for Lanterman services, which is 3 and over. So early start, which is also called Part C services, they usually that's in-home services to help small children meet their milestones in a timely manner. Communication, sometimes behavioral modification, but you don't really see a lot of behaviors come up when you're 0 to 3. Sometimes you'll start the ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, for kids that have been identified with autism fairly young. 3 and over, 3 to life, it depends. So you'll be on a children's caseload from the age 3 to age 18. And when you're in that caseload, once a year, an individual program plan is developed, and that guides the services. We offer behavior modification in the home, respite services, out-of-home respite. You can have placement if you need it.
And what specifically is respite for people who might not know what that means?
What we have in-home respite is where either an agency or you can hire your own person comes and gives you a break from the constant supervision and care of your family member. And that's also out-of-home respite is such like Camp Harmon that we have in this area run by Easter Seals. We also offer, and there is a certain parental fee that is attached to, there's an annual parental fee and then there's a parental fee. There's two different ones, which are actually in negotiation right now in trailer bill language. One is if you have a child placed in out-of-home placement, you may be responsible for a certain amount of funds per month based on your annual income. The other one is if you have respite or other interventions, you are responsible for a small copay per year based on your family income. If you have Medi-Cal, neither one of those apply. You can get Medi-Cal for your family member with a disability through what's called the institutional deeming process, and that gets you Medi-Cal with regardless of your own income without a share of cost, and then that helps too.
Do you guys at the San Andreas Regional Center, do you help families obtain insurance and file Medi-Cal forms if they need it?
Yes, we can help with that, but usually with our other generic agencies that we work with, such as IHSS, Medi-Cal, sometimes Medicare, Social Security, we guide the process. We don't usually do the forms for them. And then once you graduate from children's services, I think I covered everything there. You'll from 18 to 22, you'll be on a transition caseload, at least here in our Watsonville office. And that's where your service coordinator really starts to become involved in, when you're on the children's unit, we also offer IEP support, individual
Oh, okay.
program plans. So
Like you would be an advocate at an IEP?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Nice.
And we also work with CCS. If they fund one part of a system, we can fund another part of the system. The regional center is bound by payer of last resort, so we have to have denials from everybody, but we can pay for a piece of equipment or a certain medication at the last resort,
Okay.
if nobody will fund it. Okay, so transition unit, 18 to 22, that's a hard part of life sometimes because you're going from school-based services to adult-based services. So your transition unit caseworker will help you with IEP transition, which is a big one. Again, we do the respite, behavior mod training. It usually comes into play a little bit more. You're going through puberty, you have some issues that might come up. We help with the post-secondary program, and the other stuff that I mentioned before. And then once you're 22, you graduate to adult services, which are 22 to end of life. And that includes a variety of services depending on what the person wants. A younger person may want to move out into their own home. So we have residential services. We have what's called independent living skills training, which trains our folks to have skills to maintain themselves in the community.
And who trains these the clients?
That's a good question. So the regional center hires vendors or vendor. So the regional center's process, we don't do any direct services. We have vendors that provide those services. The regional center hires those vendors. We pay the vendors. The vendor provides the service.
Okay.
And in regards to moving out, there's also supported living, which is you might need a higher level of support than independent living skills can give you. And then we also work with skilled nursing facilities. We have specialized home called 962 homes, which are for very medically fragile people. We have ICFs, which are intermediate care facilities, which are also for very medically fragile people.
Okay.
And then we do end of life support, medical support, Social Security, Medicare, Medi-Cal. You name it, when you're in the adult caseload, basically my job is to make sure that somebody has everything they need to be as successful as possible.
Okay. And does your job then, if you were to do your job for, say, 3 to 18-year-olds, would you basically provide the same services? They have different needs, obviously, that group, but so those caseworkers have similar duties as you.
The children's unit and the adult unit differ a little bit. I see people on my caseload that live outside of their family home every 3 months. When you're on the children's unit and transition, you'll probably see your worker once a year.
Oh, okay.
And that's when you do the individual program plan and you review services, review health, and then you can kind of figure out, okay, what do we need for the next step? What do we need for the next year? You can see them more if you would like. And you probably see them more if they're involved in your IEP process.
Okay. So if I'm a special ed teacher and I see that there's a need for a student to maybe utilize services in summer, what would I do as a teacher? How would I get the services from your center?
So when you have your IEP as a special ed teacher, you often discuss extended school year. So the client would qualify for the extended school year, and then after that there's really nothing that the school can offer.
Right.
The regional center usually in those cases comes in and offers maybe an increase in respite.
Oh, okay.
Those cases, they're a little bit more, we can't offer 24 hours a day for the whole rest of summer, but we can work with the families on doing limited and increased hours during those times. We also offer daycare for 3 to 18. And that's based on
during the summer months?
Well, no,
all the time?
If both parents are working, we can do that all the time. And then after the age of 13, we pay for it fully. But before the age of 13, we pay a prorated amount.
Okay. And do the students go to your facility for daycare, or you help fund it?
We help fund it.
Okay, I see.
Sorry about that.
Are there, like, if I walked into the Watsonville Regional Center, would there be clients there? Or
No.
Okay.
So we're not a direct
Okay.
direct provider. When you
I
walked
see.
into our office, you would ask the secretaries, and you would see social workers there.
Okay.
You may see a client or two waiting to see somebody,
Okay.
or in the process of intake, but we don't do any direct services.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I see my clients a lot. I participate a lot, but I don't do hands-on training or education or anything like that.
Okay. Okay, that sounds great. Is there anything else that you can think of? I'm trying to think of.
I think the biggest part from 3 to 12 or 3 to 18, what the regional center does there is helps to maintain the client in the least restrictive environment, which is their family home. And to do that, sometimes we need behavior modification, ABA training. Respite is a big one. Services usually become much more intensive once you age out of the school age.
Okay.
Because then you're looking at all-encompassing services to live in the community usually.
Thank you so much, Lisa Swanson Dove.
You're welcome very much.